Hey everybody, it's me, Witch Joseph. I hope everybody's having a great day. And today I just wanted to do a video about something that I saw. It's something I've thought about for a long time, but I thought that it was important to really do a video about it. I saw a video of someone who was detransitioning after having gone through medical transition as a transgender person. And it was one of the people who regretted transitioning. After going through all of that and through therapy and everything, they realized that they were actually gay. They weren't transgender at all, that they had bought into being transgender as a defense mechanism in their psyche because they didn't want to be gay. They felt like they couldn't be gay, or that it was a bad thing to be. And I've seen quite a few of those types of videos, and it is really concerning when you consider how that very often in TQIA plus spaces, you will find people espousing things that are inherently homophobic. Sort of like, it's very strange. It's sort of like the people on the right who hate homosexuals and gay people, and certainly transgender people and everyone else. It's sort of like spaces on the right. When people are gay and can't deal with being gay, they become violently homophobic, and they just start spewing all of these things. They're triggered by it in their outer world because they can't accept that they're gay. And so when they see someone who is gay and who's living their best life, it really triggers them, and they want to eradicate that from the world. And so there's this similar thing on the left where people are so committed to an ideology that in some ways in their psyche, it absolves them of any kind of conflict with being gay. Because I'm not gay, I'm gender fluid, non-binary, demi-male, however they want to identify. That's not to say that I think that there aren't transgender people in the world. There are. I have friends who have been transgender, who've gone through transitioning, and transitioning was the answer for them. There are people who are authentically transgender, and it's not the same kind of thing as what you see now in some of these left spaces where people just, they have 1,001 identities. There's no label that's accurate enough to describe them. And sometimes they're in gender fluid people, like they want to change the label constantly. One of the things that I realized early on after coming out and dealing with being gay and accepting and learning to love myself for it, is that a great deal of homophobia is rooted in sexism and in the belief that women are inferior to men. And so I became a feminist and a member of a religion that elevates women and femininity to the same level as maleness and male divinity. And I spent a great deal of time confronting people who held religious views along those lines and getting in the face of people who thought that being gay was an abomination and that women were created to be helpmates to men. And I got in a lot of Christians' faces over the years, confronting them about that kind of thing, only to come to 2026, the last 10 years, and we get leftist type of people who tell us, oh, there is no link between gender and biological sex. And if that's really true, then what is a gay person? What is a heterosexual, for that matter? And what is a woman? What is a man? And it's not whatever someone says that it is. It's just not. That's not how reality works. So I think it's time that we get some more adult voices in the room to talk about these kinds of things, because it has really gone off the rails in certain places. It does no one any good to encourage pathology and psychological illness as a legitimate identity that's equal to or superior to being gay, straight, lesbian, or bi, or even transgender, because it's really not about being transgender. It's about being Q. And another point about that, it's not only Christians, obviously. Lots of religions are patriarchal. And so the same people who applaud when we get in the face of Christians in the United States and say, no, we're not going to accept your homophobia or your sexism or any of it, are the same people who will look at Islamic people and say, oh, don't criticize it because we have to respect them. If you criticize it, it's Islamophobic. It's not a phobia to recognize a patriarchal religion that promotes the inferiority of women and other abominations as well. That's just reality. And if we want to change the world for the better for everyone, then we have to start with reality, and we can't call things something other than what they are. We have to face things. We have to recognize what it is we're seeing and be able to truthfully admit that to ourselves and to others, and to call things the way that they are, instead of being gaslit and forced to fall into line lockstep like a good German. Sometimes you'll get people who identify as Q, and they are biologically male with a biological female who both identify as non-binary, and so therefore they're not in a heteronormative relationship, even though in reality that's what it looks like, and that's what the physical reality is. And that's just, it's a crazy thing, really, that we see in these spaces. Of course, we should support everyone to be able to live their authentic reality and to identify however they want to identify, and to have equal dignity and rights everywhere in the world. And that's just a fact. It doesn't matter how you identify. You should be equal and free. But that doesn't keep us from acknowledging reality. If we're committed to gay rights and to women's rights and all of the other rights that we have fought so hard for all of these years, then we have to be able to acknowledge reality. And that involves acknowledging that someone who is born biologically male has a biological advantage in things like athletics and sports to someone who's born biologically female, no matter what kind of hormones they take, no matter how they transition, or if they transition at all. It's a fact. And it isn't bigotry or phobia to say that. It's not phobic or bigoted to acknowledge the biological reality. And I think that it should give us pause whenever an ideology comes to us and says and tells us that we have to accept and promote something that is obviously not true. There's something inherently wrong, and we should stop at that moment and examine what it is that we're being asked to buy and sell. So what do you all think about that? Let us know in the comments, share your opinion, and I assure you I don't expect everyone to agree with me on anything, but I just think the dialogue is really important, and for dialogue to be effective, we have to start with, one, reality, and two, with consensus definitions. Words have meanings, and words mean something that doesn't change if we just declare them to be something different. That's just not how it works. Anyway, I'm sure I'll make more videos about this in the future too, and some of the other things that I've been going through and thinking about and stuff, and so I'm sure I'm not the only one. Share your comments and your perspectives in the comments below. Blessed be and peace.